They say the more you have, the more they want. I have trophies, records, a family who loves me, and yet I feel like I've been left empty. Everything I built, my career, my life, my heart, was quietly picked apart by people I trusted. The people I thought were friends were actually using me. This isn't a metaphor, it's a confession. At first, I didn't notice. I thought it was just stress from training or the pressure from fans and media. I was playing at the highest level and it felt normal to be exhausted some days. But something in the back of my mind kept whispering that something was off. It started with small things, little cracks that seemed harmless. A conversation paused the moment I walked in. A notebook from a meeting went missing. A promise from a teammate never materialized. I brushed them off. I told myself I was overthinking. Everyone has their own lives, their own worries. Then it got worse. More cracks appeared, widening into fissures. Those quiet conversations became hushed. Phone calls whenever I entered the room. Plans always change at the last minute. All those excuses finally made sense. None of them were around when I really needed them. Each time I confronted someone about it, they told me I was mistaken or imagining things, but their eyes said something else. At first it was just physical. I was winning games, lifting trophies, yet something gnawed at me inside. I felt a constant fatigue, a heaviness in my chest. When fans cheered and cameras flashed, instead of pride, I felt a sting, like a tiny echo of betrayal. It was as if my own success became a spotlight not on me, but on everyone around me. People who barely care about me suddenly start knocking on my door. Old friends and new acquaintances, coaches and managers, even people outside my world, they all wanted something, a selfie, a favor, advice. At first I thought they were just fans or peers inspired by me. It felt good to help, to be admired, and at first it really was. A grin, a handshake, a pat on the shoulder, we laughed together. They told me they believed in me, I believed them. If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, comment, I understand below. But as the months passed, those genuine smiles began to feel like masks. The laughs turned forced. Meetings with friends felt like exams where I had no answers. I started noticing patterns. Whenever I achieved something new, certain people conveniently showed up with hands out. When I failed, those same people were nowhere to be found, or worse, they criticized me in private while pretending to encourage me in public. Then the whispers started, not on camera, but in quieter moments. A comment from one person after a victory. A joke from another in training. I would look around and see guilty faces, acting surprised when I asked what they meant. Everyone told me it was nothing. Be grateful, they said. They supporting you, they love. They convinced me it was normal, that part of fame was having so many friends. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. I wasn't seeing it clearly. They were using me, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. I began to doubt myself. Was I imagining it all? Maybe I was being too sensitive. Maybe this was just the cost of success. My confidence wavered. I found myself double-checking everything. Contracts, statements, message. I start reading between the lines, looking for answers. I turned to people I trusted for guidance, my manager, my coach, even my own reflection in the mirror. They all told me I was doing fine. You're being paranoid, they said. Trust me, this is normal. Everyone say that. This is just how it is at the top. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. But I knew something was wrong. I remember one night after training, I was alone in the locker room, everything quiet except my heartbeat. I took off my jersey and stared at myself in the mirror. I barely recognized the man. Looking back, eyes tired beyond just the matches, shoulders slumped. The stadium cheers and the lights felt distant, almost unreal. On the bench next to me was a water bottle, one that wasn't mine. I had left my gear by the bench, and when I grabbed a towel, someone had switched the bottles. I remember tasting it and realizing it wasn't the one I usually drink from. I looked up and saw my trainer walking in, wiping sweat off his face. He tried to meet my eyes, but he turned away the moment I noticed. That moment felt like a punch to the gut. It was petty, small, but deliberate. Someone wanted me to drink that, whatever it was, instead of what I had. The only reason I noticed was it caught my eye. If I had been a second slower, I might have never realized it. Tell me if you've ever been in a situation like this. I know it sounds paranoid, but when something like this happens to you, you become alert to every sign. From that point on, I knew I had to find out the truth. I started to investigate quietly, fearing what I might uncover. I went through my schedule, who had access to me and when. I reread messages from friends, listened for tone in group chats, watched for details I might have missed. The more I looked, the more I saw the same faces in every story. But every time I tried to bring it up, I got the same response. No, you're wrong. Everything's normal. Focus on your game. I couldn't ignore the warning signs anymore. I felt the distance growing between me and everyone, as if I was drifting away from my own life. It sank in. The people I was closest with, my inner circle, my advisors, even some of my oldest friends were not who I thought they were. They had become too comfortable. They liked me being happy and successful, but only on their terms. If I was happy, they celebrate. But the moment I wasn't, I was on my own. It was as if my joy belonged to them. If I smiled, they bask in it. If I faltered, suddenly they all had a day off. And then I started to fall apart on the field too. My focus wavered. A missed pass here, a fumble control there. The press noticed. Rumors about distractions began to swirl. It felt like I was fighting on two fronts, trying to win games and trying to figure out who I could really trust. My sleep suffered as well. I lay awake at night staring at the ceiling of my villa. The silence was thick. Every creak of the floor, every distant car horn sounded loud. I started having nightmares, silly dreams of kicking a ball alone on an empty street in Madeira, with people around me smiling and then slowly turning away. I didn't tell anyone about those dreams. Who would understand that the world's top scorer, the man who seemed to have it all, could be so alone? I told nobody about these thoughts. To the world, I still had trophies, fancy cars, a perfect life. On paper, I was living a dream, but I was tired of dreams. I needed reality, even if it hurt. People ask me how I was, sincerely, during interviews or press conferences. I learned to nod and smile, say I'm fine, just focusing on football, because saying anything else would raise alarm. But inside, I was far from fine. Then, after months of feeling like I was drowning in uncertainty, I found the evidence. It came piece by piece, like a puzzle I had to solve. There was no dramatic confrontation, no cinematic reveal. It was quiet, mundane, hidden in folders of contracts and emails. As I scrolled through them, the picture unfolded and made me sick to my stomach. The numbers didn't lie. Figures were missing here, payments rerouted there, deals I should have gotten were quietly redirected. Every excuse I had been given started to crumble. I sat there alone one afternoon, flipping through files like pages in a mystery novel, except this wasn't fiction. This was my life. And when the truth finally came out, everything changed. I confronted them one by one. Not with anger or shouting, just cold facts quietly delivered. I laid out every discrepancy I had found. In those moments, I saw them clearly. Their faces turned white. Some tried to laugh it off, others looked away. No one expected that I would find out. Then it was silent, just me and the truth in that room. For a moment, everything made sense. I won't say who these people were, names don't matter. It wasn't a single villain in this story. It was a pattern of people I thought I knew. But right now, all I could do was sit with that silence. For now, I just needed to breathe alone with this silence. And then I knew they used me. Not metaphorically. Actually, I mean literally use me like a tool for their own gain. If you ever felt betrayed, comment, I understand. I'm telling you this because if it can happen to me with all my success and resources, it can happen to anyone. And I need to tell you what happened. Not for sympathy, not for attention, but so you know the warning signs. At first, I didn't notice. I remember those early days when I felt invincible, stadium lights, my name on shirts, everyone loved me. I was on top of the world, lifting trophies, scoring goals. It felt like I was living a dream, but in the shadows, something was wrong. Subtle things. At first, people would look at me and smile and then whisper when I walk away. Then it got worse. It started with small things, tiny betrayals. I ignored. My oldest friend, I'll call him Miguel, he'd been there since the dusty streets of Madeira. We dreamed together of the same goal. When I signed with big clubs, I brought him along. I thought of him as family, but I started noticing cracks. He'd ask to borrow money for training, for agents, for something always urgent. I gave it every time without question. One night, after big win, I found him in my living room with my phone and a stack of papers. He was on a call with someone about an endorsement deal with my face on it. I realized, and I never signed anything. He dropped the papers when I walked in, stuffing evidence into drawers. He stammered, I thought you'd know. My heart sank. I couldn't believe it. He looked at me and avoided my eyes. We stood there, the room spinning. All I could hear was our breathing and a faint cheer from a TV broadcast. It felt like a punch. Why, Miguel? I whispered. He mumbled something about helping his family, about sacrificing for me, but the words felt hollow. I saw the fear and guilt in his eyes. I walked out of that room numb. Something inside me died. I would never see him the same way again. I began to realize it wasn't just him, someone else in my circle must be doing the same. My business manager, the one I trusted to protect my brands, I found out he was taking cut after cut behind my back. My coach, someone I respected, was favoring players who had no right, pulling strings to keep me the star. Even family members, the ones I gave everything to, had been resentful. I saw it all now. They all had a piece of my life, and they've been taking what they wanted. Each new discovery felt like a cut inside me. I questioned every handshake, every pat on the back. How many times had someone told me congratulations with a lie hidden behind it? I felt like I was walking around in a glass stadium, everyone able to see through me, taking advantage of my open heart. I could barely eat. At night, I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling of the penthouse I used to call home. The silence was heavy, even though the city below never stopped. The dreams I had as a boy in Madeira, they felt far away, as if someone had locked them up and thrown away the key. I started practicing alone at sunrise. The old tricks that used to come naturally to me felt clumsy. Now, the ball didn't obey me, my legs felt heavy. I remember the pitch was empty and cold, dew on the grass, and the sun was barely up. My breath came out in puffs of steam, and I just kept shooting. No one was watching, no one applauding. Everyone told me it was nothing. They said I was imagining things, that I should just focus on the game and forget it. But I knew something was wrong. I started digging. I went through messages, old contracts, financial statements. I found emails and texts hidden in folders on my computer that tied people I trusted to deals and conversations they never told me about. I saw my face in contracts I never signed, my name in meetings I never attended. It was like watching a stranger use my life. For a moment, I truly wondered if my spotlight was really blinding me. Was I missing things? Did I see all the signs? But doubt crept in and wouldn't leave. I started thinking maybe people came into my life only for the badge, for the car, for the fame. Maybe they didn't see Cristiano, the boy from Madeira, at all. I remember giving interviews about how loyalty mattered. Was it just me believing in something that didn't exist? My mother saw me one evening, eyes red, and asked if I was okay. I forced a smile and said I was tired from training. She gave me a knowing look and sat with me for a moment. I wanted to tell her everything about the lies, the money, the betrayal, but I didn't. I couldn't. It felt like this secret was mine alone to bear. I tried to keep my life normal. I went to practice. I went to dinners with teammates. I even celebrated birthdays. On the outside, I kept playing the part of Cristiano Ronaldo, the confident champion, but inside, I was scared. It started to feel fake. Every pat on the back felt fake. Every team chat felt like someone had a hidden agenda. Sometimes I would call a teammate just to hear a friendly voice, but my phone often stayed silent because I stopped answering. I started to avoid my own friends. Maybe they asked questions I didn't have answers for. Maybe I was afraid they get involved in whatever nightmare this was turning into. After training, I even stopped going to the locker room right away. I'd shower and leave quietly, avoiding the gossip. It got so bad that if I saw someone whisper, I would turn and walk the other way. The cheers from the fans in the stadium felt distant, like I was watching someone else's game. I remember one Sunday match, we were playing at home, I scored a goal, and as I ran towards the crowd, I looked at the stands, my family was there, they waved and smiled, but I felt nothing at all. The celebration with my teammates felt hollow. I should have been jumping, screaming for joy. Instead, I stood still for a second, palms to ears, trying to hear a voice, not the commentators on TV, but a voice from inside saying it's okay, there was nothing. So I kept pushing. Training became an escape. My mind cleared only when the ball was at my feet. Then one morning I found something else, more proof. I don't want to say what it was because it still makes my blood run cold. But it was the final piece of the puzzle, something that tied everything together, showing exactly how they used me. It confirmed every fear I had. Has something like this ever happened to you? Tell me if you understand what that feeling is like. I wish I could tell you it was a dramatic confrontation, but it wasn't like that. I didn't yell or cry out. I didn't storm into a room or throw anything, or I just quietly collected the evidence. Photos, messages, receipts, all with my name or face, all without my permission. Walking away, I realized I had to do something with this truth. I knew what was happening, but for the first time, they couldn't hide from it. I finally had the proof. And when the truth finally came out, everything changed completely and forever.